I'm Phillipa Sawyer. I'm known as Pippa. I'm the Programme Director at Wycombe Sound, 106.6 FM. I'm one of the founders of the station, and we set the station up 5 years ago in 2013, and it took us 3 years to get a full licence to broadcast, which we were awarded in 2016. So where we are today is that we've been on air just coming up for 18 months. We've got around about 100 volunteers who are regularly contributing to the output of the station, and they range from young people, youngsters with disabilities, physical disabilities, learning difficulties, right the way through all sorts of middle-aged people like me, middle-young people like me. Oh goodness me, even though we're a radio station, digital content is vital. When we started out, nobody knew who Wycombe Sound was, and it was largely digital, social media, YouTube videos, and that sort of content that really helped us to spread the word about the station. We don't outsource any of it because we're still a new station, we're still in growth. We don't have lots of money for a PR or marketing budget, so everything we do internally with our own team. I'd love to outsource it, but we're not quite at that stage yet. That is easy, it's 0%. We don't spend any money on it. We spend time and resources on it, but not cash. It's really interesting. There was a study quite recently conducted by Radio Centre, which is the body which represents the big commercial radio groups. And it was about people's perception of the value of radio advertising. And the perception of people in marketing and advertising is that digital is the big thing, and the radio has slipped down the list, but the evidence shows that radio is still right up there. It's right actually at the top of the list when it comes to recall of brands and so on with consumers. So I think, in this day and age, all of these platforms, all of these channels are valuable. It depends on which targets you're trying to reach. If you're trying to reach young people, digital is going to outweigh radio. It all depends on your product, who you're aiming for, but I think, talking broadly speaking, you have to be doing a bit of everything. Yes, absolutely. Listeners have the radio on in the background largely. They're not actively listening to the radio until they hear something which makes them then tune in. And that's the beauty of local radio, because you'll hear the mention of your town or your village, or something's happening at the end of your road, or the local MOT centre, the local nail bar, for example, and that's where radio is really valuable. That would be, it's a balance between Twitter and Facebook, and we use them for different things. So if we're appealing to somebody, here and now, tune in now because our next guest coming up is so-and-so, then that's on Twitter. Because if somebody picks that up there and then, they can react to it. Facebook is a longer term platform. It's where we're talking about what's coming up next week, or what's going on with the station more broadly. And also, I think, listeners interact with those two platforms in different ways. Again, so it all ties into who we're trying to target. it all ties into who we're trying to target and what the message is that we're trying to get across. More recently, actually, Instagram is becoming more and more important, and it'll be interesting to see, with Facebook being in the news the way it has been recently, how that will affect how listeners interact with us on Facebook. The website is central to everything we do. We relaunched it not quite a year ago. We've had 500,000 hits since then. We're quite different to a lot of radio stations in that we don't actively look to have advertising on our website. We want it to look slick and professional, but we don't want it plastered with, flashing on and off adverts and so on. The website is where people go to find out more about the station, and then the idea is they tune into the station and they hear adverts on the radio, because that's what we do best. So that's our key way of reaching listeners. The front page of the website has all of our latest news. So at the moment the website is all about Local Radio Day, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. Once we've done our listener research, the front page will be shouting about the results of the listener research. It's also where people come to find out about new programmes or to get to know the presenters that they're hearing on air every day. Maybe they don't know what they look like, maybe they don't know anything about them, and they come to the website to find out. Another key part of the website is the Listen Again platform, and that's where we upload all of our programmes. So if you've missed something over the last 4 weeks, you can come back and listen again. The thing about radio is that during the day, it's on in the background. It's on in the kitchen, in the car, and it's company, it's entertainment through your day, whether you're at work, at home, or whatever. In the evenings, consumers tend to put the telly on. So radio listening in the evening is much more about making an appointment to listen to a particular programme. Yes, of course, you've still got people in the car and so on, but people will tune in to hear the punk show, or they'll tune in to hear local music, musicians in session, or they'll tune in to hear a politics show, a chat show, for example. So people listen for different reasons at different times of day. Yet, in this modern busy world, you might not always be free at 9 o'clock on a Friday night to listen to the punk show. So you can go to the website, you can listen to that programme for 4 weeks and listen to it at your convenience. So that's a really important part of the website, and it's a key reason why people come back. Yeah, well, there are 2 people who do most of that work, mainly because we don't want to open up the website and have lots of different volunteers all putting their bits in, because we're very keen that it stays looking slick and professional. It was professionally designed and built by an outside company, and that is actually one example where we have outsourced that piece of work. And it's very easy to have too many cooks in a situation like that. So in order to keep the branding all on point and everything looking slick and professional, then it's down to 2 people in the team who keep that up to date. But it's just one of many jobs that they do in the station. All the time, it's constant. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, the Secretary of State for Local Government, Sajid Javid MP, announced that he was minded to accept a proposal for a single unitary authority across Buckinghamshire. So this is the biggest shake-up to local government since the 70s. So within 48 hours of that that news breaking, we had done a special edition of Have Your Say. So we invited in local commentators, we had all the quotes and the statements from the various parties involved. And so something like that, a really hot news topic, it's important that we're monitoring how many people were listening on the night, how many people have gone back and listened again, how many people have listened to the highlights package, how many people have clicked on that page on the website, and that's something that we keep monitoring because that story is still developing. So that's an ongoing thing. But you know, new programs that start, there could be new music shows, it could be a new presenter in the afternoons, you know, looking at how many people are listening online and through the Radio Player app, how many people are visiting Listen Again. Whilst those numbers, online listening, doesn't represent the thousands of people that are listening on FM, it shows us the trends. And so that's very useful information to us to see what is a popular programme. You know, would it work differently at a different time of day, and so on. And so that's a constant ongoing process. That's a tough one. I would say allow yourself the time and therefore the cash flow and the cash to allow your company to build. Particularly if, like us, you're starting by begging, borrowing and stealing things to put something together. We have got the most amazing volunteer called Liam Gates, who is an IT expert. He works in a local business. He spends all his spare time working on Wycombe Sound, largely behind the scenes, making sure all of our systems are integrated and working together, and that everything is robust and scalable and so on. So Liam has done an audit of all of our systems from the GDPR perspective. I'm happy to report that you know, our security around the data we keep and all of that is right up there. So we're now doing what every organisation is doing at the moment and writing out to all of our contacts and getting them to confirm that they still want to hear from Wycombe Sound. And so we'll clean up our database that way. You know, I am confident that we've got so much great stuff in the pipeline that all of the business contacts will want to stay in touch with us to hear what we've got in store over the summer and the coming months. But that's the work we're doing at the moment. But I'm really pleased that, you know, from a data security point of view, we've got that nailed. Lots of volunteers who have worked professionally in broadcasting, which I'm particularly proud of, because when you have, you know, engineers from the BBC who did 40 years at the BBC and they come and they want to be part of what we're doing, it tells me actually that the quality of what we're doing here is right up there. Because if it wasn't, those volunteers with those professional backgrounds wouldn't want to be, you know, connected to us. We've got some terrific volunteers. Half of them haven't had any broadcasting experience before they walk through our doors, but everybody, no matter what their background, who they are, everybody has something to bring to Wycombe Sound. It could be business experience, it could be broadcasting experience, it could be working with young people, voluntary sector, you know, all sorts of skills, IT skills, marketing, all sorts. And I think the beauty of the team we have here is that rather than being 100 individuals who just come into the station to create their own programmes and then go again, which is the case in quite a few other stations, is actually we all work together because we all want Wycombe Sound to be the best it can be and to be the station that others look to for how to do local radio. And I'm very proud of that. It's very hard work, but it's 100 people working together that have made the station what it is, Station of the Year.